Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is John, and I have since, July and certainly August have been very, very good reading months for me. I read this book much earlier in the year, but I have a lot of reviews to catch up on. And I just figured since I read this in late winter, in January, February, something like that, I would finally get my comments about this out of the way, and hopefully all the hate comments you'll leave very, very kindly below, as everyone always does. I promise I'm not looking to make trouble with this video. I know this author, and maybe even this book, has a lot of fans, but I review everything I read, so there you go. So, with that little bit out of the way, I wanted to talk a bit about My Man Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse, with the little illustration there, which is, if my memory serves, that's in reference to the last story, which is called The Aunt and the Sluggard. Yeah, I think it's the last story. But wanted to give my thoughts. So, like I said, late this past winter, I sort of wanted to read something a bit lighter. Had been reading some history for Historathon, and maybe wanted something that wasn't readily apparent to me in my library every time I go in there and sort of look at the shelves. So I went to my library, the actual where you check out books instead, not my personal one, and I saw this. I don't know if this is the sort of modern edition of Wodehouse, but this is the one I got. This is labeled number 1 in in the set. This is by Harry N. Abrams, and it's called the Collector's Wodehouse Edition. It numbers its releases. Like I said, it's number 1. I have no idea if those numbers actually respond to publication or correspond to publication dates. But this apparently was published in 1919. It's a collection of 8 stories, 4 of which feature Bertie Wooster and Jeeves, and the other 4 of which have sort of a prototype character of Bertie, who is named Reggie Pepper. You might be familiar with Reggie from either these stories or other novels or stories that Wodehouse writes him into. Bertie and Jeeves, of course, have a sort of reputation, at least on BookTube, for being pretty near universal crowd pleasers. And maybe the problem here is that I read a very early set of short stories with a kind of version of Bertie. Remember, 4 of them have that other character. And maybe he just needed some time with those characters to sort of fully flesh out the comic appeal of the Bertie and Bertie and Jeeves dynamic, I guess. There is something funny to it. They don't really come through in these stories, I guess is what I'm trying to talk about. I don't see the comic appeal in these particular stories. Some stand out more than others. And I understand the shtick, the sort of clueless, bumbling idiot who comes from the upper class, sort of a send-up of a dying breed of aristocrats or wannabe British aristocrats, while his manservant, his lowly butler, Jeeves, is the one who comes in and always saves the day. That's funny, but it's just that. It seems like a shtick to me. And in much the same ways you might find 1 or 2 episodes of The Stooges funny, 32 episodes of The Stooges kind of wears on someone. At least it does on me. The 10th time you see Larry or Curly getting, booped on the nose or the backside or whatever else, it starts to lose its appeal. The main characters, except for Jeeves, are mostly what I would call flat stock characters. They're bumptious, blustering, sort of jobless, entitled. At least the wealthy ones are, and many of them are. And I realize that round, lifelike characters who change and evolve aren't really the go-to material for comic writing. But there's nothing about stock characters that makes them stale and forgettable. Kind of reads like opera buffa, if you're familiar with opera buffa, but on the page instead of on the stage. I have a sneaking suspicion that Bertie and Jeeves are just, at least these early iterations of Bertie and Jeeves are kind of one-trick ponies. Good for the occasional chuckle, good for the occasional one-off laugh, but unable to sustain my sort of long-standing interest. Then again, I've had really bad luck in the past with humorous writing, especially book-long humorous writing. Tried to read David Sedaris's When You Were Engulfed in Flames about 10 or 15 years ago, and that also fell really flat on the page for me. If there happen to be any inveterate Wodehouse fans out there who see this review or hear this review and have recommendations for other good books, whether they be short stories or novels that are maybe, a bit more engaging than this one, a bit funnier, will sustain my attention for longer than this did, I would love to know which titles those are. But this was an unimpressive introduction to Bertie and Jeeves, at least for me. But let me know what I could be doing wrong, where I need to be looking. I'm more than interested in giving him another try. Like I said, I know people have really, really wonderful things to say about Wodehouse, but I don't really know where to go from here other than to just take another random dive and maybe have another disappointing experience. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it had its moments, but I guess I just want to look somewhere else, maybe by people who know his body of work a little bit better than I do. My few thoughts, be nice to me in the comments, of My Man Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse. I will be back soon with another review. Bye.